Welcome back to Drum Ambition. In the last video you found out about whole notes, half notes and quarter notes. You learned about the training motion and you also looked at the associated rests as well. Today we're going to look at eighth notes. Now just as an introduction, on the screen in front of you you're going to see a bar populated by eighth notes. Now we talked about the root note sticking where the right hand plays the numbers, the 1, 2, 3, 4. So today our left hand is going to come into play and our left hand is going to play the eighth note ands. So let me just play 3 bars right now for you. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So on your PDF notated as bar A, you will see that on the first 2 beats, beat 1 and beat 2, we have eighth note groupings. So that's played as 1 and then the second beat 2 and. Then we have a quarter note on beat 3 and 4. Now you know from the last video that you play those on your right hand, but what we're going to do is play a training motion to simulate the eighth note rest that comes after the quarter note. So remember, there are 2 eighth notes to 1 quarter note. So if we play beat 3, as in this case, 3, we play a training motion for the and. When we play beat 4, we play a training motion for the and of the 4. So I'm going to run the metronome and we'll play 3 bars just so you can see what that looks like. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So as a reminder, the training motion is really important. Make sure you're using it at this point. On B, you will see a quarter note rest on beat 1. Now we're going to do this slightly different from the last video. We're going to play 2 eighth note training motions for the quarter note. 1 and. And again, that's because there are 2 eighth notes to 1 quarter note. Then you can see we have an eighth note grouping on beat 2, which we now know is 2 and. We have a quarter note rest on beat 3. So again, we'll play our 2 eighth note training motions. And on beat 4, again, we have our eighth note grouping, 4 and. So if we put this together, it's going to look like this. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. On bar C, you can see that we start with a half note rest on beat 1. Now remember, a half note consists of 2 quarter notes, so we're resting the 1 and the 2. But I recommend that we use a eighth note training motion here. So for the first 2 beats, we're going to go 1 and 2 and. Then we have a eighth note grouping on beat 3 and an eighth note grouping on beat 4, which as you've seen will be 3 and 4 and. So if we run the metronome at 40, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Training motion is very, very important. Make sure you're using it. I promise you it's going to make life a little easier for you because it does a couple of things. It simulates where the rests are, so you get a really good idea of how long the rest period is. Plus it takes the guesswork out of the sticking. And as we get into more complex notation later on, that's really going to help you out. On D, you can see we have an eighth note grouping on beat 1. So we're just going to play 1 and. We have a quarter note rest on beat 2. So we'll do our 2 eighth note training motions, 2 and, a quarter note on the 3, so we play the 3, and we play a training motion for the 8th note that is rested afterwards. Because remember, there are 2 eighth notes in a quarter, so we play the first note and we rest the and after it. And then we play an 8th note grouping on beat 4, which is just 4 and. If I run the metronome, and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So now we'll play lines 1 to 4 from the PDF file, and I'm going to use the training motion. We're going to keep the metronome at 40 beats per minute. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 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 3 and 4 and. So I'm now going to play lines 5 to 8 on your PDF chart, but this time I'm dropping the training motion. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 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 3 and 4 and. So I threw a couple of old friends in there, whole notes, half notes, quarter notes and the rests as well, just to give you some more practice. Now as regards to practice, I always recommend you start this at 40 beats per minute. Now when you're ready you can go up in increments of 5, and when you get to 70, 80 beats per minute you can then drop the training motion. And you'll know when it feels comfortable. I can't say it will be 70, it will be 80. You'll know when it feels comfortable for you. So please do use the training motion first. It's really, really important. Now, so far we've talked about whole notes, half notes, quarter notes and eighth notes. In the next video, we're going to talk about the eighth note rest and where that figures in the bigger picture. If you have any questions, don't forget you can email support@drumambition.com. And in the meantime, thank you for checking in and thank you for using Drum Ambition.